Prem Solo Mahapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Sitaram, everybody. Welcome this morning as we do our 13th session. For those of you here in this rainy morning in the temple, and for those of you viewing live in different places, different parts, as we get set, let's all stand as we do opening arati, invocation, and let's say a little prayer this morning. Before we do so, we get ready to wave that divine light for the Lord. Out of humility, put your hands together, everybody. Sajam cha varti sanyuktam grahina yojitam mayam Deepam grihana devesham Trailokya timidapaham. Jai Jai Bhagwat Bhagwan ki hai aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai Tadati. Jai Jai Bhagwat Bhagwan ki hai aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai tarati. Ye amar grant ye mukti pant ye Panchama Veda Nirala Navajoti Jagane Vala. Ye Amar Grantha Ye Mukti Pantha Ye Panchama Veda Nirala Navajoti Jagane Vala. Hari Jnana Yahi Vardana Yahi Hari Jnana Yahi Vardana Yahi Jag ki Mangal ki Aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai tarati. Jai Jai Bhagwat Bhagwan ki hai aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai. Ye Shanti Geeta Pavan Puneet Papo ko mitane Vala. Hari Darsh dikane Vala. Hai Sukh Karni hai Dukh Harni. Hai Sukh Karni hai Dukh Harni. Ye Madhusudan ki aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai tarati. Jai Jai Bhagwat Bhagwan ki hai aarati. Papiyon ko paap se hai tarati. Ye madhur bol jag pand khol san marg dikhane wala. Bigadi ko banane wala. Shri Ram yahi Ghanshyam yahi Shri Ram yahi Prabhu ki महिमा के आरती. पापियों को पाप. जय जय भागवत भगवान की है आरती. पापियों को पाप से है तारती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। हे नंद नंद गोपाल, आनंद नंद गोपाल, 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 हे नंद नंद आनंद नंद यदुनंदनंद गोपाल, हे नंदनंद आनंदनंद यदुनंदनंद Gopal. Dear Lord, this morning, as we get set to do our 13th reading, to do a wonderful discourse about Lord Vishnu and one of his forms, as we progress in this third section, this third book of Bhagwat, we ask you for your choices, blessings. Om Gajananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapeta Jambu Palachara Bhakshritam Umasutam Sho Kavinashkarakam Namami Viganeshwara Padapankajam Sarvamangalamangali Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhana Mrityu Mukshya Mamritatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. One more time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vrindavan Bihari Lala Ki Jai. Everybody please have your seat. Make yourself comfortable. Yes, I see you this morning. Sitaram, God bless you. Last night, we did the discourse, for those of you that missed it, as we continue in my goal to provide information for the devotee. The Bhagwat is being done, this sacrifice, this amount of material, money, fasting, preparation, all of this is being done for the sole purpose of providing God's children, the people that will attend, those that will view, with the knowledge, with the things that we do not know. As we grow together, as you learn about your Dharma, I've tried my very best not to repeat, not to give you the same discourse, to do my research, to search for my own God, because I had to face God too. So last night, Brahma, after our midday reading, he went and he get the power of Mahavishnu on his body. And he starts to create. In that creation, the first thing he makes is the four boys. Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, Sanatan, and Sanak. These four fellas, the first thing they do, they tell their father, we're not listening to you. As good and godly as Brahma is, even, I guess all parents, even this father has to be shut down. My goal is I've created you with a view that you will propagate human life. You will begin all the pashu, all the fish. He says, I have a role for you, I have a goal. Please fulfill my desire. And the son said, no. We want to remain celibate. We want to maintain and hold our sexual energy, not to have children. We want to keep our seed within our body. You made us male, but we do not wish to have children to propagate this life, to expend our energy in this way, but to fuel and to foster this energy so that we would be able to uplift ourselves and find back that Vishnu Baba. Simple language. Then he has now where he gets angry, and this is where for all the people, for all the Yajman that we were talking, I've been using Lord Shiva in different sessions as the Hindu. To put it simple, why does Lord Shiva wear the cobra snake around his neck? Why is he sitting on a tiger skin? Why is his private area wrapped with the elephant skin? You are doing his puja. You are constantly Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. But do you know the person? In our conversation last night, many people have heard Brahma in our yag. Brahma comes on top of the lotus flower. He comes from Lord Vishnu. We've heard, in yesterday morning discourse, going into lunchtime, how Lord Vishnu is manifesting from unseen to seen. And when he creates the eyes, when he creates the lips, when he creates the tongue, and he creates different senses and different attributes to the sense, how life is being able to create, and as that is simultaneously happening, how some of the illness, some of the strength, some of the things, gifts that people have, people lose. For example, after COVID, some people could not taste food. They had no sensation in their lips. Some people, after sickness, lose the sensation of nerve endings in their body, numbness. When men reach an age, erectile dysfunction, and you would think, well, where is this coming from? In any example, we talked about many. And in it, it shows that part of the Hindu, it's a little distracting. Please control these children. If you could just keep them in the chair, please. In many examples, people say, and I've been saying it, good comes from God, gifts come from God. But when sickness hits you, we tend to think obia, we tend to think evil, we tend to think the devil. But the truth is, in this illustration and this section, it shows how God, even in these times, He is the source of everything. So when the person Gita hears Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, the experience can be different. For a person living the same life, brother, sister, same pot, same genes, but one person might have money, for example, the other person might have poverty. A person might have health, another person, and they are linked to each other. But they may have cancer, they may have a different disposition with children, etc. And that variation is brought about by their difference in karma. The karma is the source of the good and the bad. There's no favoritism. In this age, it shows in this text, in other texts, that people put different stripes on the shoulder. People say, I'm rich, I am better than. I am poor, I am less than. I am fair, I am better than. I am dark, I am less than. In different ways, I am Brahman, my blood blue. But the truth is, in different section, he says, everybody is his children. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. Everybody comes from God. But the difference, the variation that yes, it does exist, is due to the person's karma, the choices they make. So when we heard how the mind, when we spoke at length about the chit, how this voice is guiding the person, should I get up? Should I fight the urge to be lazy this morning? In simple language for children, get up and offer the jal. Sattvic thought. No, stay on the bed. Be lazy. That is the thing that might help me pass the exam. But don't worry about that. We'll do that tomorrow. Tamasic is regarded as lethargy, a heaviness on the person, laziness, according to Bhagavad Gita. But that thinking happens because of your karma. And if the person in this life engages what he says, how does a person overcome all the bad things that are happening? What's the link? How to conquer it? All these things that Brahma is creating, he says you don't like it, you don't want problem in your eyes, in your ears, in your head, in your hair, in whatever way. Use your devotion, become the bhakt, practice smaranam, remembering the Lord, practice listening to the Lord. That is the tool. The prayer becomes the tablet to heal the illness that we are suffering from. If we would take the medicine, we would see better days. But people tend to see trouble, and instead of running to God, they run from God. A sign maybe of Kali Yuga, when it talks about demonic people, are defined as people who never know what is the right thing to do, the right course of action. I want to come out from the darkness, but instead of coming out of your problem, instead of popping the tablet, the paracetamol, the Advil to help the headache that you have, you continue to have the tablet on the table, watching it, but never using it. And think to yourself that you're doing correct. In all of this, he goes a step further and he says from the middle of his forehead, Brahma, he says when he felt so disappointed in his sons that he got angry, and from this middle area here he created a little baby boy, very dark in color, and the child started to bawl. This bawling, this incessant bawling, they try now, the 4 little boys he just created, the sons, and Brahma trying to calm this child down. What it is wrong? Why are you bawling? He says, I want a name, I want a form, I want a purpose right now. And he says, because you are bawling, we will call you Rudra. You are full in this universe with all this pain, all these tears. Your voice is so powerful, you are shaking everything. Your place, and he called out the 11 forms because he squealed 11 times. We named the different forms of Lord Shiva. The same Shiva, Vamadev, when he has the 5-headed form, etc. The 11 Rudras, we call it in prayer, when Baba is doing puja and they're doing the Havan. He says, your purpose, long story short, he gave those 11 Shiva, the 11 goddess that would stand Shiva and Shakti. And in it, for those people that were messaging about D, we hear a lot about D. Who is D? D is the consort of Lord Shiva in one of the forms. One of the male 11 Rudra. In that discourse last night, Brahma says, I give you a consort. Her name will be D. The next one will be Ulka. And so he went, Ambika, etc. In it, that D is given dominion over property and different forms of sickness. Till today, South Indian people in Mauritius, make a big celebration of doing D worship. In some parts of Trinidad and West Indian culture, in some parts of Guyana in particular, definitely in Suriname, people still worship that form very prominent. In other parts, people use different names, Prithvi, etc. But one significant ember that I want to mention this morning that came from last night is he says your purpose, Shiva, is to accept the role of the recycler. Sometimes when we say the word destructor or destructionist, people get confused. Is he going to kill everybody? Is he going to mash up everything? Brahma had now taken all the initiative, all the advice of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu is the person when Brahma is making particles and atoms shooting very rapidly. Everybody is doing their own thing. And the elements, the forces such as gravity is now created. The magnetic pull of the magnetic attraction of the moon, for example, came into being. The covalent and the ionic bonds that exist between atoms so that solid, liquid and gas could be formed now came into being. How does Lord Vishnu preserve the universe? If helium and helium come together, so you will get the different gases. So now our atmosphere started to form. Nitrogen gas, 2 atoms had to stick together. In order for it to stick together, his forces has to allow this attraction to happen. So he was like the glue that allowed the different atoms. When people, and we spoke about how when the nuclear weapon is created and they ask, the interviewer, the reporter says, you scientists, you just created the atomic bomb, the hydrogen bomb. How do you feel? What do you have to say? The first thing he says, I have now become the Hindu god of destruction, Shiva, because he takes the hydrogen atom, the gas, and he rips apart the bond, causing the bomb to go off, causing damage throughout. Lord Shiva is given the job that you have to rip apart the 2 atoms, break it down back. If we have a wall, if Brahma creates the red block or the cinder block, understand your God. If he is the person in charge of making the blocks that are going to make the wall, Lord Vishnu is the mortar that sticks the blocks together, give it form, give it features, give it dimension, physical features. Lord Shiva is the person that will come to break the blocks down, allowing us to use the block for another wall, another moment, another creation. He is truly the person that recycles everything. In this way, he was given his purpose. Last night, when we hear of how Lord Shiva is created, and we went on to talk about other things, I want you this morning to consider, as a Hindu, I am doing Shiv Puja in different forms, but I did not know this man. Last night we talked about the blue, how blue is not to be worn in Puja until today. When people want to affect another person's prayer, they're in the store and they are selling you blue clothing. Baba, well, that is what I see, so I buy it. But you, the person, have to be cognizant. You are responsible. It is a sinful person when things are happening. Well, I did bad because of that person and this person. I'm a bad person because I did not have a father's guidance or a mother's guidance. Yesterday we heard it is your prerogative. Just as how you did not know how to drive the stick shift, just like how you did not know, I use my personal example, I don't know up to now how to put on the gas tank. I don't know how to operate the computer. You see, I operating a phone, but these children have to guide me in everything. You get up and you go and you find, you research, you learn. But laziness Tamsikness, if I had to make a word, is where you say, well, me I know and me I gonna know again. I don't want to know and I don't care to know. So where I reach karmically, dharmically, I am going to stay right there. But when bad things starts to hit, when God sends miseries in different forms for you, you're vexed with the God, you're blaming your mother, you're blaming the pundit, you're blaming the kind of wood in the hawan, you're blaming everything. Don't talk about the poor neighbor. He doing obia every day for people like that. Everybody always doing me something, but you will never have the drishti, the common sense to say, you know what, I am my own enemy. Whilst in our text we heard the other night about how the imposter, the person utilizes black magic to damage Krishna in an attempt to attack Lord Krishna. Whilst I agree it is real, Bhagavad Gita professes that the person in this life, in Kali Yuga, there will be a different understanding, choice making, that the person doesn't listen to the guidance of God in their head, but the person wants to blame everybody. Everybody else is accountable for the things that are going on. I'm an addict. I am an unhealthy person because the wife does only cook this. Maybe if we started to fast more and eat less junk, as we were talking about the features last night when he's talking about Shiva proliferate in Kali Yuga, proliferate unhealthy things, so that the food becomes the poison, the water they drink becomes the poison, the sickness becomes popular. What do you tell somebody when they are taking poison to drink? Wow, you're irresponsible, you're mentally, you're mad. How could you kill yourself? What do you tell somebody who, for example, just to make an example, I'm diabetic and I'm only eating sweet? What do you call that form of recklessness? In this world where you have cocaine, coffee, all this, the most addictive thing that exists is sugar. Walk in your grocery. Walk in all the cheap places to get food and see if it is not unhealthy food as opposed to healthy stuff. And every day you are putting the poison in your mouth. Mom, I have to use the microwave, and you are seeing a correlation with cancer shooting up. Instead, with all the technology that we have, we're supposed to be healthier, living longer, etc. We are getting sicker. And you are wondering how Brahma tells Shiva you have to bring an end, and every physical carbon form has to break. They cannot live forever. In every discourse you will hear it, born it have to die. So there must be a means. Kali Yuga, the lifespan at the very beginning in Kali Yuga, the lifespan is shortened. How it going to get short? If the person only wants to eat the ramen soup and the bottled water, which gets plastic in it, it tastes funny, you know what I'm talking about, but still, what we gonna do? It seems like we just absorb it and accept it. We don't try to change it. Gita says you are your own friend, you are your own enemy. You have to take responsibility. If he looks, imagine in Gita, he's talking about food. Food could be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. It is left to you to choose. When you choose poorly, in my example, you will get the sickness that is coming as a result. Some people suffer in this life. Some people take their time and age well, and when time to go, they go. Prem Sivolo Mahapati Mahadeva ki Jai. A wonderful discourse, an eye-opening discourse, truthfully, that shows how the entire circle of this creation. When somebody says, what happens after death? Hinduism shows the common sense approach that the matter, the molecules cycle. It is not just you go to heaven or you just exist or you just disappear. Is it that there's an unending amount of molecule or any amount of souls, whichever one you want to look at it? Hinduism is the one that explains the ocean of milk, the ocean of salt water, the ocean of oil. When people talk about oil that is being pulled from under the earth, it is our books that explain that there was a reason for that oil being created. When people are harvesting gold, our books talk about why gold is on the surface of the earth, because of meteorite and foreign objects flying and hitting. It is not only natural sources. This is why we don't drill 200, 400, 600 feet. But the gold is more or less on the surface, found in rivers and stones. After years of erosion, you will find gold. But go looking for diamond, you have to dig very deep for it. Hindu books in Agni Puran and other places give how the earth is shaped, mountain, water, sea, continent, etc. But if in Kali Yuga the person is ignorant to their dharma, well, I don't know, and I don't know the value of what I have. Today, as we continue, we are going to learn this morning. As today is the Chaturdasi day, tomorrow is the full moon for you who are following. Tomorrow is the conclusion of the month of Shravan, Mahadev Baba. It is the full moon day. Many people are doing Satyanarayan Puja. And in addition, things like Raksha Bandhan, but Gayatri Jayanti. One of the reasons why I chose this time to do this yoga, everybody was saying, well, normally we do Bhagwat at home here in July month, in terms of the holiday time. With school children. But this year, because of the amount of auspicious occasion and the Agni Vyas and the other things that we check when you are calculating your yag, and I encourage everybody, please don't put date for prayers with convenience. Check your date. Make sure that Agni is on the earth to take your Havan and allow the energies to reach the Devta, so that the prayers must be fruitful. Otherwise, you are just wasting money and you are doing prayers for show. Please, this morning, today is a Vishnu's day, and we will enter into Bhagwat chapter 13, book 3, where we are going to hear about the boar head. For those of you in the mandir, look at the 5-headed form of Lord Vishnu, Hanuman Baba, and you will see there's a pig head. People in this age, I know of Shakti Mandir in Covils, in Guyana, in different parts of New York, that say, God, take that boar head, because he wants you to offer a hog. He's calling for hog. Varahi Devi is Parameshwari. That means mother want a hog. Mother want hog blood, and she want hog foot and hoof. People put all type of personal opinion, and I want to start our discourse this morning. There's a description of what Tamasic prayer is. Pandit, I want to evaluate myself. I want to know if I am doing good in my puja. I've been listening. And I want to gauge myself. You're on the right road if you do that, by the way. If you judge yourself instead of focusing on other people, you might see room to improve. Meaning, how do I know if my prayer is tamasic? What's the definition of tamasic prayer? Tamasic prayer, one way, one definition, one parameter, is prayer that is done out of convenience. Prayer that is done because of my opinion. Prayer that is done because of what I feel or what I like, and not guided by scripture. If it is guided by scripture, that is a different category of prayer. Effective, it will be a fruit, it will be positive, it will help you, and it will help other people. But prayer that is tamasic, when somebody says, well, I want to, I use an example, hypothetically, I want to do this prayer regardless of the quality of the day from a Patra perspective. I want to do my Bhagwat in Pitra Paksh, because that is the time I have Baba, for example. Then the person does the prayer, they don't feel or see based on the feelings we talk about in our previous discourse. The prasad that you get out of that prayer, it is as if you are sharing sin. If I am sharing blessing when I do good, when a person does bad, do you think good will come from bad? No. Then the person who says, God come, somebody told me, for all of you, I don't know how other countries look at it, but in Trinidad you come across some strange thinking. I went to do prayer one day and a person told me, Pondit, I fast this morning. Yesterday I had hog head and a nice sandwich. And you're doing what tomorrow? He says, no, Pondit, you're young man. Yeah, no. God come from a heart. Here come from a stomach. But in our text, fasting, if we go into Vishnu Puran and other places, sometimes people don't understand why we fast. The foreign protein, we are trying to cleanse our body for God. Yagya means sacrifice, truthfully. The things that I harp and I run down for somebody who is addicted to things like KFC or fast food. People who are addicted to different types of food, not only meat, liquor, cigarettes in terms of addiction, sexual practice. I'm addicted, I have to interfere when the night comes. You are saying, dear God, I am sacrificing myself to you. Somebody sent a message about why do we fast for 21 days. For those people that like to bend for 21 days. Consider where I am going to answer your question now. When you see different organizations and different temples, as we are picking on the rule, telling you in a Sanatanist temple, minimum, everybody knows this, minimum 21 days fasting if you want to sit and do prayer. People have a sense of shame and decorum. I'm not going to wash the murti, definitely not interfering with the prasad if my monthlies are there. I don't want to be there. I don't want to touch. I don't want to meddle. That standard is there. But now in Kali Yuga, you have the goddess temple. You have people proliferating in Shakti temple. And why is it proliferating? Because the person says, don't worry about fasting. You could come here in 3 days. I will wet you with water by the door. That is the truth. Come in, don't worry. You could do what you want. You could sleep with your wife last night and come and do prayer and touch all the powers, and there will be no effect. This is not written in any text. There is no grounds for this rule. But think about the sway it has on the Hindu and your young. So why fasting 21 for? Why fasting for different amount for? What is this about? So I is a bubbly then. I is a fool. I've been somebody playing a joke on me. Why am I fasting all of this and my Durga, Kali, all these different forms? Why am I fasting when Mother is accepting me? Until you read the same Durga, the same Devi Bhagwat says, partner, forget meat. In sheep prayers, you're not supposed to share baigan and pumpkin. What you going to say for meat? When the person says mother wants the chicken and the goat and the lamb and whatever, North Indian practice, which is where we come from, West Indian culture, says no, she wants sattvic. Sattvic is equivalent. Read what sattvic mean. Not only meat or no meat, but also things like fungus are not allowed in her prayers. So a person who is doing Navrat fasting don't eat mushroom. Different type of things that are growing on rotting corpse or rotting wood, mushroom for example, that feed, that is secreting acid to digest something else. Because of the nature of what it is eating, it is not fit for Shipuja. How then does mother become that you could only fast for 3 days? When you encourage this because you want to feed off the money or you feed off the sexual energy, whichever is your target of people, so you are trying to pull people, that is the objective, then you're going to land yourself in some problems. And this is why many people who do these things, you have to account. You might get away 1 or 2 days, But the same people who encourage other people in this shortcut mentality, they have to account for it. Usually, they have bodily problems, major bodily problems. What I am focusing on, I'm not saying that they don't have prayers in those places. I'm not saying that. It have prayer, but there must be a standard of preparation for yourself, just as somebody would say brush your teeth, bathe at a minimum, and then present yourself to God, clean clothing. We talked about the colors for clothing, etc. Then when you look at it, the question then becomes, maybe I don't know why I fast or how to fast. Vishnu Puran tells you, depending on what you eat, so you fast. If the person eat fish, are subject to correction on this one, 14, 15 days and the protein comes out your body. Bird, the description is a category of bird, not with teeth. It does not have any rows of teeth. So let me just pretend a chicken. 24, a little more than 21 days. If you go for an animal that has horns, whether you say some varieties or species of goat, sheep, lamb, for the different places, I'm subject to correction. 3 months. If a person eat, no, it doesn't say 3 months, it says how many days. Because remember, month in Hinduism is different, the count is different. The English calendar, it does not equivalent to English calendar. If a person happens to eat beef, the person fasts for 1 year. Hog or any type of pork related meat, 6 months. In this way, it is a long, lengthy, arduous thing to fast properly for Yag, especially for Bhagwat. So where did the 21 days come from? When the cow has to take 21 days for the milk to become free from colostrum, or let's just say all the nutrition for the young bacha after birth, the protein content of the milk for the people who make paneer, people who make other products from the cow, the content or the yield of that milk when the colostrum is running is totally different. The ghee looks different. The for people who eat penus, it looks different because of the content, the fat content. It takes 21 days for that amount of protein, fat, nutrition, those things that is meant for the child, those things to come out of the milk. So the farmer usually allows the mother to feed her child, allow that to flow to the child for 21 days if he follows Sanatan Dharma. Then from day 22, we use those ingredients, milk, dahi, etc., to begin to start to offer, to use it. Somewhere along the line, more so in West Indian culture, they said, well, if mother cow, if Gau Mata takes 21 days to become clean, we will become clean after 21 days. Truthfully, that is a man-made rule. That is something we adopt. And even now in Kali Yuga, it is hard to achieve. Vindravan Bihari Lala ki Jai. This morning, as we are going to hear in this discourse, the history of this boar, as we are touching on animal and animal product. If you are one of those people who are told you have to offer the tusk of the boar, the tusk of the boar, the material it is made from, there is prayer where people shave the horn. There is prayer just as how we would say you worship the sank or the shell. There is prayer for that, but not in the way it is being proposed. That I want to protect my family, so you get the shavings of the horn of this animal or the teeth of this animal and they use it. There is prayer for it, it does exist, but it is not what we are being taught. So this morning, in a very simple discourse, we are going to hear the history of the Varaha form. Before we go forward, on this Chaturdasi day, please put your hands together as we do our Sumiran. Redhi Siddhi Data Siddhi Sadana Varana Varana Sumido barambar Madana kadana ke lal ko Ganapati kripa nidan Jnana khani ananda bhavana Dehu mohi vardhan Varno Bhasha Bhagavata Jai Shiva Ananda Khan Bhutanata Bhavaya Harana Bhakti Vishaya Nirvan Gauravadana Mangala Karna He Braja Chandra Mukunda Braja Bhushana Dushana Harana Katahu Bhava Bhaya Panda Gauravadana Mangala Karna Jai 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 Jagadisha Sevata Shesha Mahesha Ja Mahimamita Beva Veda Veda Janata Rahe Redhi Siddhi Data Siddhi Sadhana Varana Varana Sumiro Baramban Madana Kadana Kelalako Sumiro Baramban Madana Kadana Kelalako Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Sukdev Goswami tells Parikshit, having heard the words of Brahma. Now, in our discourse last night, we heard the equivalent to Adam and Eve from the Hindus' version. But we heard of Priyabrat, Uttanda and the other children, that Brahma caters for the variation, the genetic variation that is necessary. If Adam and Eve are the only people and you do not have genetic variation, everybody would have birth defects. The earth would not be able to sustain any species. That is a limited gene pool today in a world where species are dying off. This is the case of the leopard, where you do not have many male leopards in the world. It is so slowly going to die off. Similar to the Bengal tiger, the white Bengal tiger, and many other creatures. When you see something wean and slowly wean off, today our understanding of extinction is better defined and better developed. Parikshit says, I understand what Kali Yuga is going to look like. Death, decay, depredation. We talked about drought. We talked about the cycles that Brahma made, and then Lord Vishnu maintains the cycle of the carbon, the water cycle, the food chain. We understood the interference in digestion. He says, today my knowledge of my God is so developed. Thank you, Guruji. Please continue and tell me what happened when the job was being described for this Satrupa and her husband. Please tell me what became of them. The first Manu. Let's enter into this verse this morning as we hear of how Lord Vishnu has to maintain them. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah Narayanaaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah Iti Brahman Vidura Vinati Sahasra Shri Vishnu Chalapadyam Prishtiro Maye Prithvi Bhagwat Kathaye Praninam Munishwaraye Yadha Swabhav Sakala Jata Swayam Manu Prajwali Prataye Drishti Veda Garbaye Yati Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatma Ye Namo Namah. Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. If me and you have inconveniences and hardships, we try to replace it by new technology. So we spoke in this yagya about how the Pandit gone, I use it myself, from the book version of our text to the electronic version. We gone from a cord to cordless. Truthfully, when we travel, and if you look at my sunk, you have a window here, brought about damage in the airplane. So you know what, Pandit? Don't worry to bring the sunk. We have it electronically now. So when sometime the Baba talking pep 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 pep, but no shell. If you don't know the history of the shell, the sound is not all you want, but this has value. Not all technological advancement are good for us. Not all medicine bring about healing. Not all food bring about good, etc. Sometimes the older ways have value as well. Brahma says, in this new created home, in this new family, Manu and Satrupa, where they had their young children, the human existence, the human traits are being developed, but they live in hardship, lack of resources, or the ability to access the things that you and I have. In fact, their first problem is they don't have a home. There's no place in all the planets that are formed. For example, in different discourse, we've spoken about Mars or Mangal being the red planet. There's a history why Mars is next to Mother Earth. Why is he so close? When Lord Shiva or Starboy again decides to cry when Sati Mata is burning, and the Rudraksh Sitaram, and the Rudraksh Mala is formed from one of the, let me say, the first teardrop that fall. A red baby is formed on Mother Earth, on Prithvi Devi. This red baby, manifested form of Mangal or Mars, red with the heat, with the violent energy of Lord Shiva, the pain, bawling and crying. Mother Earth takes her form and she scoops him up and she says, "Oh Shiva, look your son." When people pray on Tuesdays for Mahadev Baba, that day of Mars that is his father. Shiva says, "I have no wife, I have no body, I don't want no children, I want nothing to do with them. I don't want him. He will only remind me of the goddess that I lost. You keep him." And Shiva is the person who disowns that son, Mars. When people ask, why is Mangal so disastrous, so deleterious to people who have this Mangal or this Mars in their birth chart? He is the person who is abandoned by his father. So the person who is Mangalic or suffers from Mangal Dosh, they have a horrible, horrible relationship with their father. It is one of the reasons the person born and they lose their father, or their father does not stick around. The person is cursed. I, Mars, this is what I know, you will have it too. You will not be approachable. You will be very hard-headed, mule-headed, you're stubborn. The Mangalic person cannot get along in marriage. They cannot get along with people. They suffer to have boy children because they are dragging in different ways. One of the things that help them is pacifying Lord Shiva and wearing one face, one mukh, Rudraksh bead. In different ways, when this is happening, Mother Earth, keeping Mars, puts this red sun in the planet form next to her. So Dharti Mata wants her son next to her, and this is why Mars of all the planets are close to her. Before this happened, before this planetary alignment happened, before Shani Dev had to realign, historically today, people who understand the sway of our solar system, where different craters upon the earth came from, where meteorites hit, the projection of Saturn's orbit changed in time. In Hinduism, we talk about when Shani is going off course, how Hanuman Baba changes his trajectory. Before all of that happened, Manu goes in front of Brahma and he says, "Oh Father, there is no place for us to dwell. Of your creation, of all the universe, of all the planets, of all the different places that you will put us, there are places that are very remote and very cold. There are places that will be like the moon that has no force, so that we cannot propagate an animal or a house. There's nothing holding me down to the surface. There is no home. Could you show me a place where I could go to a home and make a life, propagate my species, allow life to live? Give me a place that will be fruitful for us to bear and continue family, etc." In this way, Brahma, after being questioned by his son, let's hear what happens, because his response is important. Shiva Om, Hari Om, Guru Om, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Paramatmaya Namo Namah, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Evam Satya Jivan Kariya, Hridaya Tir Garvaye Atam, Maharloka Maharye Garvapat, Sadar Ghatya Sargare Ho, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Paramatma Namo Namah, Narayanaya Krishnaya, Paramatma Namo Namah, Paramatma Namo Namah. Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Brahma says, inasmuch as you are praying to me and asking me, remember he now makes some children and the children don't listen. So now he makes his Sapta Rishi, Marich, Vashish, the godfather of Shriram, to come. Different forms. Kasyap, he is the one who makes Garuda in time, he makes all his serpents, etc. Different form. Beyond that as well. All of them are standing together. Manu is not a Muni. Manu is a knowledgeable man that will propagate life. Please understand the difference. When people are doing Sapta Rishi Puja, Manu is not one of them. He says, your job, O Manu, is to go make a life and start to make offspring. Human race comes from you. And if you see it fit to become the protector of man, by your different armaments, knowledge, etc. Setting what we call Manu Smriti, different rules of how to govern, how to live, who is to do different roles. One example of Manu Smriti rule that we know is the conduct of how a chacha is supposed to be, the pua is supposed to be. When you accept the role, how your mannerisms must be inside of teaching this young person, the child. When the pua is used in the wedding, for example, she's a female, of the male father. My brother is your father. He's very strict in our family. These are our traditions, and I will enforce it. So the child doesn't want to listen to his father. When Pua come, Pua will take up a piece of stick maybe and crack that child. That is his job. This is why Pua is given the weapon when they're going for the dirt, when the child have to marry. She is the one who has the tool, never the mousy. Mousy is given to a person that your mother, sister. Your mother is the one who will use love as a tool to sweeten you to do what you have to do. The mousy is the sister mother. She is the first safal mother. When you're doing Tarpan and Shrad, when your mother dies, your mousy is the person to feed your mama guy, give you love, to help you along the lessons of life. But she cannot be the one to discipline. She begs you. When in Ramayana they talk about Sam, Dham, Dhand and Bed, the different ways to progress with somebody, to get them to do what you want. You talk to them, you yell at them, you bribe them. So let me just say, the child, I want to do the work. Listen, you see, today I will behave yourself. Then the next time they have to talk, the mother might use some language. Then the next day, listen, if you do your work, I will lay a PlayStation. Bribe, barter, deal. And the last one, when you listen, I'll cut your tail. The pua is the one who goes straight to cutting tail. And the mousy is the one who starts to talk first. So in our dharma, different people are subscribed to different roles and methods to grow one person. That is how we ended up with not just the word uncle, but you end up with chacha and you end up with mamu, mother side, father side. And each side has a difference in purpose training. For example, if you see it fit to guide these people in the course of their life, I would appreciate it. And that governing, that will be the fulfillment of your duty, and I as your father would be gratified. All your labor would be as if you are offering these things, the Smriti, at the foot of Mahavishnu. Janardana would be very pleased with what you have and how you have created. He says, yes, Father, I want to make you proud, I want to make you happy, I accept my duty. My wife and I will do our very best to make those types of offspring that will propagate life, maintain the species, maintain the training in the species. So the quality of this life must be good. But before all of this, you have to put me in a place. You have to give me a place, a dominion, in order for me to propagate. This place must have different features, please. Brahma started to think. The chit in his mind, the unseen form of Lord Vishnu, starts to let him look downward into the body of the universe. Mahavishnu is around him. Remember, Brahma is sitting on the lotus and he is floating in the body of Lord Vishnu, as it were. When we talk about Maha, Jana, Satyam, Bhu, Bhuva, Swa, some above the earth, some below. How did the earth end up in the middle of all these different stratospheres? When from the chit or the unseen form of Brahma, of Lord Vishnu inside the head of Brahma, he says, look downward into the Mahalok and you will see a planet. That planet, that goddess is waiting. She's in the depths of the ocean of this creative force. Before the water takes physical form, before the earth lifts out of that water, she is waiting. And that Bhulok is the place that life will be propagated. O Parikshit, the first physical form of Lord Vishnu, this first avatar, is about to happen. Prior to this moment, he took forms like time. He took forms like season. Different unseen influences, the chit, the voice in the head, things to help progress life, maintain life, but not in this way. Prior to this, there was no puja. There's no worship. There's none of that. He is the invisible force, as I said, holding the structure of everything together. He is the one that causes the chemistry to be worshipped. He is the person who allows the different cooking methods to be developed. When somebody say, oh, soak the chana, they're making chana and all today, Rav. Soak the chana in baking soda. Allow the protein, the starch to break down so it boils quick. Those sciences came from Lord Vishnu. The art, the different smriti that teach a person how to cook, how to fast, how to dress, how to do. Now, where does the first form come from? From the invisible thought of God talking, speaking to the form of Brahma. Sitaram. Let's hear what happens in this sloka. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Tasya Bheshna Ye Yati Iti Namya Vivarsahasra Varaha Tu Koye Nagar Ye Dhanya Prishta Parimantakya He Tasya Ye Kasyatam. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Last night we heard of the Ashta Siddhi, the explanation. When Lagima, Anima, when all these different forces that Hanuman Baba gained, what causes Ant-Man and different powers that we see today in our cartoons and TV shows, where did it come from? From the influence of Hinduism. To give people the ability to expand themselves. When people see in the Marvel comics Ant-Man shrinking and expanding, it seems so strange, a superhero type of power. He has some strange science. But Hanuman Baba has been doing that in Sundarkand for how long? Now, a tiny microscopic form flies out the nostril. He is formed in the nose, in the senses of Brahma. Coming out in the form of the Shuksham Sharid, like a deer light first, and then taking form in a little human body, big head form. Varaha takes form. Not in baby form, not in child growing up, etc. as we've heard in other avatar, none of that. For this reason, this avatar seems to confuse many Hindu people. They see it, but they don't know much about it. They don't know the parental name, the parsad, what is to be offered, what is to be done, what was the purpose. So people put their own meaning, and hence it is bastardized. Sitaram. It is bastardized. People want pig now. That is why he have a pig head. Please pay attention. When this little minute form of the human neck down, boar head alone is formed, it started via the lagima, the force now to grow and expand. and it becomes bigger. It says here, bigger than the four-tusked species of elephant. What people are now digging up in the earth in different parts of the world, not only India, historic, prehistoric, but not out of date for Hinduism, different types of animals that once had furry bodies, four tusks, different type of bodily fixtures, things that don't walk the earth anymore. He says bigger than that type of body, that breed of elephant, mammoth and beyond. This boar head, this boar form stood in front of Vishnu, or in front of Brahma, and says, guide me, what do you want? Marich and all the different pundit started to pray that, dear Lord, you who have come now in this disguise from the nostrils of Brahma, what is your purpose? And you who have the power of the yagna inside of you, that havan, this sacrifice, the gifts. This is why in Gita he emphasizes, he doesn't talk about the flowers or the parasad that people give. He talks about the yagna, the havan that they offer, and the correlation. He says the havan that you are giving, we see it blazing inside of you. He says, I take form in this physical avatar, because if I do not come now to save the human race, it will never propagate. As the person who is in charge of saving, today I have come. The boar, after addressing them and telling them of his purpose, he dives into the celestial waters that is clouding the physicality, the physical structure of the different look. When a person listens to Norse, old European histories, and they talk about Alheim, Vanaheim, and the different realms, that same concept, that there are different lokas in Hindu or Sanskrit thinking, not puja, but when I go from this realm to that realm to the other realm in like a step, then going up a ladder. In the same way, Lord Vishnu dives, and where he's standing, he goes past Satyalok, Jana, Tapa, and he's going down into the depths. And whilst he's diving, all the munis that were standing there, the Saptarishis, started to pray. Everybody put your hand together on this Vishnu, they will say the same type of prayer. Just a couple of verses out of what they said when they saw Lord Vishnu act in the first avatar of the 10 that he takes. Tesham satyam vedavata murti varaha adi bhumiye nata varyatam vidya bhauma vidodayak Gajindra ye nata lila jalayatam atishta jwalanti kal katharam sada vibhum Karagruruyam tvaya sambhav sit drishta isha jyotitam bhagvat hridaya yatitam padhya pujanatam. Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. Whilst he is diving, look, the Lord that will continuously come again to save the devotee, the person that will make the impossible possible, the person that will make any type of circumstance that cannot be resolved, this form will resolve it. Blessed is the person that when, like Gajendra, when they are under attack, when they are being suppressed by the oppression of other forces, when people are at war, when people are under duress, when there is no hope in a scenario, Just like today when this boy is diving, let Lord Vishnu make the impossible come possible. Let his tusk come and save. So if somebody says, I have heard where people grind the tusk of the boar to use in prayer, yes, it have some truth to that. It is used in yantra and different type of protective amulet production. It is used because of the purpose of the boar. Why the boar? Why not a normal pig? When he went into these water, he used his two hands to navigate the water, to swim, to dive. But he wanted to hold the planet like an orb, a marble, out of the water. So he puts the marble, to tell you how big he was, he puts the planet on his face and the two tusks anchor it in place. It doesn't move. And then he's allowed to use the two hands to swim. In this practical approach, blessed is the person that bows to Lord Vishnu in this form. The boar smells the earth, and like an animal in this avatar, he becomes very attached to her, and he speaks to Prithvi. In different texts, it isn't given in depth here, but in different texts, when that boar holds on to Prithvi and he smells her like an animal, he becomes so close to her that he wants to mate with Mother Earth. And from Prithvi Devi comes three little, for our language, let's say piglet. That piglet, when Lord Shiva comes to rid the form, destroy the form of Lord Vishnu in this boar form, he says, Prabhu, and we'll get to it as we progress in our Bhagavad. He says, Prabhu, you have been fighting the unrighteous form so much. Please give up this earth. This earth is suffering because of your weight. He says, if I leave now, these three children will be forgotten. They will have no value. And it is here that he says, Lord Shiva is the one that bless him. He says, you don't worry. As I cause this form of Vishnu to be destroyed, so every time Vishnu comes upon the earth, it is Shiva. When Ram, when Krishna, in every avatar, Shiva comes to literally separate the molecules of his body so that he will dissipate and leave the realm of the earth. Shiva says, I will bless your three sons that they will be born as the three fires that exist. They are names for Kravyad Agni, Havyavad Agni, Dakshin Agni. Fires that are used in different places. There's one fire that we use in this prayer. This type of fire is used as a witness when people are walking around a fire, when the arti going on, or when the wedding going on. One brother. The second brother becomes the fire that you see for unclean items. For unclean items, meaning when they burn in the body, now the whole head are here, the intestine, the guts, the blood, that is going to be offered. This is why when you go to funeral and you see the people do the little hawan by the pyre, even if it's a crematorium, then they touch the sticks from that fire to light the body. And the third one is the neutral fire that we use for salt food, unclean food, non-vegetarian food, your cooking fire. We don't go by the stove, for example, fire still, and pack wood and do hawan there. Even in the times of the chulha, you would not put wood there and say, well, look, I'm done here by the fire, let me offer hawan. And this is why it is not done. This is how people ended up with something old. Indian technology talks about rasoi gar. Just as how we had the in our traditional way, where we have a house where people would have children and they would have normal living. They would not cook in that same house. They had an attachment. Kitchen was outside. Kitchen was separate. When people started to have indoor plumbing and the toilet fixture was inside the house, Hindu people in particular, because of the high standard of sanitation, thought it was so stink that you would use the toilet in the same place you could have your bedroom or your kitchen or your facility. And this is how the Hindu has a puja room separate from the other living room or your bedroom where children make, where food of a different nature is cooked, don't have the one and same. So the person says, you know what, if I cooking fresh today, that is for over there. Till today, people have remnants of that. I will cook sada food in my house, but you see, when I'm bujing and chunking the different curry, etc., I go do that outside. Don't let that scent. You like the food, think what I say. We just say it, When I bujay that curry and this, that, and the other in the pot, oh boy, the smell so nice, I feel to eat it. Where we talk about yesterday, when the mouth salivating and the food digesting, God make the cells in your mouth tell you, food come in your belly, start to rumble. That whole reaction comes from Him. When I smell that, I wonder if I like to eat fresh and those things. That is me. But somehow we still have the standard, put it one side, outside. And this is where the structure of the home comes from. That entire sastra of how to build a home, till today people use it. In this earth, when the tusk is used to anchor Mother Earth, when he forms because of the animalistic, when the male smells the body, the pheromone of the female, and he becomes attached to her. Now he has young and he doesn't want to separate from the female. Lord Shiva is the one who had to tell him in different discourse, you have to leave. He says, but if I leave, this is my first form. There's no Ramayana, there's no Gita at this point, there's no text for this Varaha Puran, the Varaha person. The Varaha Puran comes after this part where I'm talking. He tells him, listen, if you give up this form today, on that battlefield, there's a battle where he's used in a different way. He says, every time your foot press and you fight and you sacrifice for life to be maintained, for good to be re-established, grass is going to grow. And because you brought the happiness, because you saved the earth from the depths of where she was, because you are the one who saved she, you are the one that brings the kushi, the happiness to Mother Earth. And for that reason, we will call that grass Kusha grass. From the root, I, Brahma, will sit. I, Shiva, in the middle. And Vishnu Baba will sit on the tip of the grass. Wherever that grass is, goodness and godliness will reign. Bad energy, bad living people, lost souls will not be able to come. They will not be able to tolerate. Since that time, as tapasya and different smriti is being developed, sit on kush grass. Use the kush grass as the ladle to sprinkle water in prayer. Use the kush grass as the offering ladle in some havan. Use it when you are burning the dead, when you are doing havan. Kush grass is one of the 9 wood when you are doing Gra Puja because of the value, the content of what this grass have. If you leave today, that will be the immortal form of you. For this reason, when we did not have kush grass in Western Hemisphere, it was a deficiency, it was a sin. It was like living without one of the main ingredients for our prayer. And as time passed, the indentured laborers, they had their way. They never had bale tree, then we get bale. Bale is not endemic to Trinidad or the Western world. It was spread just like how I remember Uncle Ramdat brought for me Parijat, and then he brought Shami tree when we do Ganesh Chaut Kathan. We'll hear about Mother. And it starts to spread and people learn of the value of it. In the same way, this is where that grass comes from. And he says, this is all I can offer you. Many years, many janam after, when Ved Vyas writes Varaha Puran, more katha, more episodes are given. But in Bhagwat, this is where it started. And whilst he's coming up with the planet on his tusk, he lifts the head like this. You see it in Pitya. And the boar head is a practical head. So for the purpose of swimming and channeling his body and holding Mother Earth, he goes up. But when, because of the animalistic nature of this form, he holds on to her and he does not want to release this female. In fact, in this manifestation, when people have sexual problems, when people have sexuality problems, when people have gender crisis, when parents have a child that is between one gender and another gender, identity problem between male, female, that is proliferating in this age. We have this morning, and I'm saying it, if you're vexed with me, it is the truth. The nurses and the doctors that are extracting the blood, I asked, what questions do we ask people when they come to screen blood? She says you have to be careful with diabetes. If they are taking tablet, fine. If they are taking insulin, trouble. Because we don't want it to remain in the blood and go into the patient that is receiving the blood. Okay? If they have a tattoo that is under 3 months old, problem. If it is beyond 3 months, fine. Okay? If the person is on antibiotic, the content of the blood, trouble. If they don't have any of these medicines in their system, no problem, we'll take it. She says it doesn't sound good, but we have to test for sexual transmitted disease. And when a person declares their sexuality, because that is part of their screening, the person who is homosexual on the male side, they have a proficiency, a higher proliferation of sexual transmitted disease. And we have to be very careful, because if that sexual disease passes on to the baby will now become ill with that sickness. For that reason, in this way, that question has to be asked. It is not something that causes reproduction. And for that reason, when the person is praying, when the person wants help, when the person wants understanding within the self, and they want to have the ability to have the karma of knowing who I am. What is the problem with sexuality and gender? It is not what you choose. What you choose is what you choose. It is as if I am saying, I am vexed, I hate, I damn anybody that eat meat or drink liquor or be different to who I am. Hinduism does not judge based on gender difference or sexuality difference. That is truly your choice. God made everybody. In the Hijra Ramayana, in our culture, it shows where Ram allows space for the third gender. It allows space for people who are different. But when the person is in this and the parent says, how, if God made everybody, how did God make this person different? Just as some people have teeth, and like your Baba, some people lost teeth, He make everybody. Just as some people have hair and some people don't have hair, you don't damn people who are different in any way. He makes tall people, He makes short people from the same belly. In the same way, confused internally, externally. There are some people could live in peace, some people cannot live in peace. Some people, this is the catch, know who they are, and some people don't know who they are. Some people accept their gender, some people don't. Some people do not identify with it. It is as if, based on our text, the chit is given a different reading and they don't want to work with that chit. It is an example of tamasic behavior, where you are not understanding your form or your role given by God's form. I, the pundit, did not give you a penis. I, the pundit, did not give you ovaries. It is not my choosing. God gave you it. What you choose to do with it is left to you. If somebody says, Pundit, how do we look at sex change and the surgery? Truthfully, our text does not have problems, and I said it before, our dharma does not have problems with surgery generally. If a person goes for a much needed, let me say, extraction of a tooth, extraction of A child, in the case of a cesarean, the usage of epidural or any type of antibiotic or treatment. In other religion, they don't allow you blood transfusion, organ transplant, or the use of painkillers. You cannot do anything unnatural. If God wish you to go through pain, if God wish you to die in childbirth, if God wish you to dead with rotten teeth, dead. Accept your feet. Hinduism, Puran, in the last chapter of the Pret Manjali says this birth, this form that you have is a gift. And if God, who creates the science and all that we talk about, one form of Vishnu is the maintenance of the body through the herbs, the medicines that we have. And the entire surgery, the entire thing of rhinoplasty, fixing the nose bridge, doing cosmetic surgery comes from Hindu texts in different smritis. When the whole science, where it come from, and God make it. Think about that. People think that different sciences is unnatural. Anything is unnatural. When people saw the glasses for the first, they push back. So Walter Raleigh historically was the person who brought smoking to the Western world. The first thing happened when he was smoking, the maid in the house thought he was on fire, and she takes a bucket of water and she hits Sir Walter Raleigh. Because I don't know what that was. What are you doing? Are you a dragon? It was so strange. Hinduism is all surgeons. They know where the nerves are. Remember, we are bending nerves and pressing nerves to activate different parts of the body. The body is a tool. So in our way, if the lady has a lump in her breast, be mature enough to understand she has to extract. If she does the breast removal, that is part of Hinduism. That is fine. You are saving your life. You are saving your form. Utilizing the science of Lord Vishnu and the healing propensities that exist because of his will. If it is not his will, tell me where it comes from. In the case of a person, just like how we don't like lazy people, for every parent that cannot wake up the child in the morning, who make your child lazy, who make your child greedy, who make your child mannerless, have no toilet manners, belching by the table, no decorum, no grace. Who make him that way? God. That is God too. Who make the robber, the raper, the insane, the crazy person? Who make it? God. So is it possible that people who are different are real? One. Two, created by God? Yes, that is part of Hinduism. People in Hinduism have prejudice. And this is the funny thing. You're saying God lives in everybody, but God could only live in people who pray like me, look like me, dress like me, eat like me. Have you ever gone in a circle? I don't know if you experience, but I have been, and using myself now, I saying this. When you expect prayerful people to be of a different divine nature, I have seen where people in the temple or in the different organization is the most hurtful, most insultive, most disgusting creatures that God make. Let me give you one example. You just eat onion? You just eat meat? Oh my God. People judge you. People hate you. Make you less than because of your practice. I am superior to you because I abstain from onion and garlic. I am able to do a betterment. I am able to give plenty dachna. I am able to give charity, so I am better than you. And you miss the whole point. If a good person is a person who teaches and lifts and uplifts, and you coax, and that could be man, woman, whatever God make you, and you encourage goodness, then you are using the good things you have, practices, approach for betterment of other people, like Manu. But when you do it in a hurtful, insultive way, breaking the person you are trying to help, allegedly, then you are going against the smritis and the different things that Manu makes. Even if somebody does in the example of a surgery, do you check them as less than? If somebody says, I have grafted skin, I went and I got burned in a fire, and you looked at the person and they say, listen, In a car accident, I had to put in a glass eye. I had to put in rebuilt a plastic or prosthetic face. I had a godson. I have a godson by the grace of God. Car accident, right Golconda. And the wife, she called Pundit, the hand gone. Same car you love, whoop. As the door fling off, it take the hand. Was he wrong when because of the God science that is created to make machines and prosthetic limbs, is he wrong for having a prosthesis? When the person lose their toes due to sugar, and in the shoe, sometime unaware, they have a little club to help the person when they press to get back balance. When I lose my big toe, I cannot walk properly. I don't have balance. That big toe in your foot is your balance mechanism. Am I wrong for trying to get balance so I could walk like a normal person? Not at all. This is why Hinduism does not have a problem with a hearing aid, or thank God for me, with glasses. We don't look at it as a non-Hindu. In the same way, if a person with a different mental disposition, a different opinion, they look at things differently, you still accept the person. You don't condemn. You don't judge as hard, as difficult. It is for me and you to conceive how other people live, pray, eat, give charity, etc. When you hear there are missionaries doing God work, but in order for me to feed you or teach you or give you medicine, you must join my faith. That is their opinion. Do you criticize, condemn Hinduism? Say, that is their right. That is how they think. That is where their karma reached them. You understand them and you leave them alone. In the same way, when people have different opinions of their sexual practice, that is none of your business. That is not your focus. But what we do is we judge people. We start getting in people. Oh, you just eat hog? That's so stink. You just drink rum? That is not your business. In chapter 9 of Gita, he says, leave the judging for him. Leave the judging for him. This is how in our dharma you have transsexual, bisexual, you have accommodation for it. If you go, anybody who went in there truthfully, when these men that dress as women or the Hijra, when they have a wedding, when Sita Mata in Ramayana, when she blessed them that wherever you bless, goodness will come. If God bless them, who is you to damn them? Hinduism is the one place today in Las Vegas where they legalize prostitution. And a prostitute is given a tax bracket so she could pay taxes to get pension and protection and so on. Hinduism is the place that puts a role for that girl. Hinduism is a place that has in the murti that they make for Navratam, the dust in she doorway. That dust has to be collected if you want to have the optimum Durga Murti. Hinduism is of a different type of all-inclusive vision. Who to hate? This is why in chapter 12 of Gita, he says, how do you say God is inside everybody, but you are prejudicial and you want to like some? Then when the person says only Brahman will see God, only blue, like Hitler, only blue eye, blonde hair, tall people will see God, well then those people were correct. If a gender difference, sexuality difference make good and bad, where does good and bad in your vision stop? It have people that say Dalits or people who are converts from other religion, they are bad. They are not God children. They are not deserving. Why did it say when people go down that prejudice road, I could help, I could give charity to a Brahman, a Pandit, I will get blessing. But if I give a Dalit or a Sudra help, it will give me sin. But then when you read your Bhagavad and you hear how Sudra and different Dalit in terms of name and category of name, those people are still able to see God before me and you who consider ourselves better, then you check yourself and ask yourself, what is the definition of better and good? When parents have a situation where children are confused and they do not know what is right, what is wrong, they pray to Varaha for that clarity, for that benefit, and the preservation of the person's integrity, modesty, chastity, etc. Vindravan Biharilal Ki Jai. Everybody, when the earth came up in this way, in this part, in this chapter, they did a stotra, a prayer that is chanted on a day like today, and people use it. People use this prayer. People do this prayer. Satwik, sweet rice, milk is used in this prayer. When people are doing dirty puja in prayer, where they bring in the mud to come, when they do the Vishnu on the 5 leaf on the earth, the Vishnu that is be calling is this Varaha form, truthfully, as her consort. Please allow us to borrow mother. We want to have jug, so the mud comes. Please allow us to borrow a piece of mother. We have wedding. Please allow her to come. Please give us permission, dear God. Don't vex. Believe we get through it. We pray. This prayer was chanted by the Saptarishi, and up till today, people use this prayer coming from Bhagwat when they impossible, when there's no hope, and I don't know how to deal with the confusion or the trouble. People go to this first avatar of Lord Vishnu. Put your hands together. Let's do 2 verses before we conclude this morning. Namo namaste kile mantra deva dravya sarvakrita kripa kriyamana varahe bhakta Chaturbhuja Vishnu Nabhya Vitalya Jnana Vidya Guruve Namo Nama Drishta Gritho Ye Bhagvat Tvai Dvijayayatam Viraj Prithvinat Madur Bho Bharata Sambharata Yatha Vannita Sarito Devata Grita Santa Yena Shantatam Gajendra Mukti Suputra Dayani Trayamyaya Rupani Saukarna Bhundayenat Bhaunat Yena Datta Dritate Chantaya Shrunuyam Yaham Varaha Ye Khal Idam Indraya Katha Namo Namam Vishnu Bhagwan Ki Jai. The person who reverently listens to this stotra, the person who makes other people listen to this stotra, the person who says the words of this stotra are always protected by that form of Vishnu with his tusk that guides a person's mind like 2 barriers deflecting bad. The 2 tusks of Lord Vishnu comes to safeguard the chit that is guiding the person's mind, the advice, the directives, the things that allow a person to go right or wrong in this life. The person's communication, like the antenna taking the feed for you to get the internet. That dish, that receptor becomes polished, becomes very honed in order to receive the directives of Lord Vishnu, Janardana. When a person encourages their children to listen to the discourse or the puja or the prayer of this Varaha form, the protective form, the saving that is possible, is very easy and very effective. In fact, this puja is very simple. The main offering is yourself. This is not the prayer that says you have to offer this, or there's a flag, or there's a yag for this form. This is why in the age of Kali Yuga, people are saying, well, that form was the hog. That form said what this, that and the other, because it does not stipulate. It have to be Mohan Bhog. Satnarayan form, full moon coming tomorrow. In the Satnarayan form, it says, make Mohan Bhog. Take the Bhog of Lord Krishna, take the suji powder, take, if you get it without salt, cream of wheat without salt. Read the ingredients on the packet. You'll see what I say. Take the different barley, milled or pearl barley, milled of bran flakes. Put these things in that and offer it. When Satnarayan or Suryanarayan is given that type of healing, healthy prasad, the person will yield or get health. But in this form of Lord Vishnu, he does not, maybe it was too early in the scheme of time, but he says there is nothing. All I want the person. The person becomes the prasad. The person fasts and cleans their body and prepares their self to offer themselves at God's door or his bedi. And what they are praying for, when you have a situation or a circumstance that looks as if I will die, I will lose my life, I am going to go through some difficulty. This is not for subjects. This is not for marriage. This is not for that. This is when I'm afraid. The doctor says I'm a high-risk patient and I may lose my life in making this child or going for this surgery. My heartbeat is dropping, but I have to go and put in the stent, else I'm dead. Dear God, let me go in and bring me out. When the person is coming out of anesthetics, and they're afraid or the breath will not come back, Sitaram, when they will not come back, dear God, please, when we're going to do, how it is called, the test, the angiogram, where they're putting in the dye. Many people don't know that that dye has a certain amount of fish protein in it. And when you are allergic to that, sometimes you have problems when the dye is going in the body before they do the scan. For this reason, sometimes when people go to do the same medical procedures that we have to do, sometimes difficulties happen. So imagine now in your prayer, where does the history come? I'm going to do my surgery. I'm going to do a procedure. The procedure is blessed, created by God for the purpose it is set for. Lung surgery, kidney surgery, heart surgery, I understand. But in that surgery, I may not have the karma to survive. It may not benefit me. Instead, I may be damaged. Lord Vishnu, I'm getting ready, boy. You have to protect me. You have to go with me. You have to look out for me. And when the person worship, that is why when Hanuman Baba gets, when it is time for him to save Ram, if you remember the picture where this is coming from, it have two discourse that deals with that 5-head form. When he goes to blow out in the Ahiravan discourse, where he goes to blow out the 5 light, Kali Mata tell him, you have to get 5 head to extinguish this 5 light. Then the door, open sesame, it's going to open. You see Ram and Lakshman inside. The second place, when the second discourse, when Ram comes out of the room, no mention of the goddess. Ram says, what type of person are you? The devotee is supposed to pray to the God. But look at you. Today the God is being saved by his devotee. You are so powerful. You are so blessed. Go and become the optimum protector of my follower, my devotee. I give you my power. So when Ram and Hanuman, there's an old picture where they see them hugging like this. He pulls Hanuman into his body and he gives him 4 of his forms. But many people understand the nursing form of the 5 very good. Garud is there, one of the head, the human looking head, because of the force, the wit, the knowledge, the history of Garud. Nursing is the one when the enemy is in the form of cyst, growths, cancer inside the person. Hindu pray to nursing for puja. When there's obia, nursing for puja. So I'm going to him for help when it chant the Panchmukh Hanuman Kavach. And the neighbor and the family doing bad, and I seen things, I seen my name on that candle, and my child is blinded and I want to break it. Yes, that's the form. But the Varaha form was included. Although there is no listed prasad, there is no listed method of vidhi in that way. It is given for Krishna and Ram. In this it says that when there is no way to fix this, I do not know, the breath of your body is going, call on me and I will make the impossible possible. I will lift you up. So when the person does that puja, when that Varaha is present, that is why we go to him there and then. That is why of all the 10 avatars, Why did Ram leave one eye? He head on Hanuman Baba. Why Krishna, Kalki, Buddha did not end up on top of Hanuman Baba? Because of the potency and the power of this Varaha, because of the history of the purification of the Kush grass. This is why till today, one place you will see Kush grass is in the funeral service, that the dead, lifeless body still needs protection. And it is calling on this Varaha form, in the form of the Kush grass, in the coffin, under the coffin, on the ground, whatever material the floor has on it, tile, pitch, whatever, put the Kush grass to maintain the integrity of the spot. Till today, when the Baba giving you the ring on your hand and he's calling on the Kush form, sit and safeguard the person from all forms of bad and evil, so that when they do their worship, allow them to be safe, allow them to have safe passage in any form of evil or bad or any type of enemy. You, Vishnu, have to lift the person up and protect them. This is why of all the forms, one of the head of that Panch book had to be Varaha. So if a person has a Varaha Murti and you are interpreting that this Murti wants hog to eat, think how bad we are. Think how far we reach, that I go to temple to hear the God wanted to take the head he have and use that to guide your parasad. So watch the form in the higher grieve form. Tomorrow is higher grieve day. That means you are going to kill the horse too. That means Lord Shiva, Ganesh Baba, where you go and hunt for an elephant, kill it and bring it. Think of how foolish people exist in this world. Try and don't fall in that category. Understand that there's a role and there's a root for foolish people that do foolish things. But you don't let foolish people affect you. You try and you watch that, because the role, that is what I don't want to be. When you see in a bar in Trinidad, people are selling beer rum now. I have to have the alcohol, it's cheap, I can drink that. You watch that, before you criticize the man, you say, me drinking that, I don't want to reach to that depth of addiction. I don't want to be like that. When you see people walking the streets and they're like a zombie because of fentanyl, I am not going to let my marital stress allow me to reach to that. When you see people addicted to different things, I am not going to become that. And you stand strong and you ask God in this form with the bow head to help me, God. You have to be strong sometimes in this life. Give me the strength to do the right thing. Those are the reasons you do that form. Go and offer apple, go and offer the orange, go and offer what you have. That is what it says for the vidhi. What growing in the field, what growing in the season, offer that. Not hog. Not that. Please be aware. Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. This form, which is stubborn to please any desire, that devotee, when preparing yourself, when you fast properly, when you become the, let me say, the offering in the Tariya is you. When that person approaches that God in the highest way, in the best way, when I say highest way, the person fasts from sex, because in the Hindu Dharma, the sexual energy between man and woman, it is a force. And the person saves their seed to offer in a heightened state, the glow around the person. Sometimes you just feel anxious. We are all big people. When you're in that way, because something is pent up inside. And I want to be in this heightened state to offer the prasad. Dear Lord Vishnu, I have my desires and I am preparing for your prayer. So I save the energy and I am giving. How you give makes a difference. Let me what we just do. If the Tariya is clean or not clean, that makes a difference. What about you? Energize, charge, halfway asleep. And you're offering the same parasat. Think about how you're doing it. That makes a difference. So the Hindu prepares themselves to the best. And when they give it in this charge form. Dear God, send the energy back to me. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. This morning as I pause here, I hope I answered the question diligently, why we fast, how we fast. I hope I touched on it enough. The gender bias that is rampant in this world, where it come from, and why is it wrong to judge and harm and damn people. Nowhere in Hinduism it says kill the gay man or the gay lady or anything like that, to be quite clear. It says appreciate God's creature. It is not you, thank you God. When you see sick people in other cultures, in Mesopotamia, in Greece, when you see people born with different genetic ailments, let's say Down syndrome, in those cultures, the only way you could deal with that, this was God's mistake, take the child by the foot and kill it. That was allowed in their culture, because if I take that out of the genetic pool, if I take it out of the house, you wouldn't have to feed it. That genes would not reproduce. So from the time you saw some defect in those cultures, in those times, they killed the individual. Hinduism says appreciate the life in whichever form it comes. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. So this brings us to the end of 13. This is session 13. For those of you viewing, I hope we have a better appreciation for some tenets of Hinduism. Of course, there are some very controversial things that was said in this satsang, but all under the bracket of truth. If you have questions, please forward your questions. I am sure we could benefit and learn something. Let's all stand now as we get ready to do Arti one more time, as we near the end of our Yag. Time is floating away. It is running away. And after listening to this holy discourse, after listening to the history of this Varaha, I hope you remember it and you put it into practice in your prayer method. Jai Jai Bhagwat भगवान की है आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। जय जय भागवत भगवान की है आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। ये अमर ग्रंथ, ये मुक्ति पंथ, ये पंचम वेद निराला, नव ज्योति जगाने वाला, हरि ज्ञान यही वरदान यही, हरि ज्ञान यही वरदान यही, जग की मंगल के आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। जय जय भागवत भगवान की है आरती, पापियों को पाप से है तारती। ये शांति गीत पावन पुनीत, पापों को मिटाने वाला, हरि दर्शन दिखाने वाला। ये शांति गीत पावन पुनीत, पापों को मिटाने वाला, हरि दर्शन दिखाने वाला, है सुख करनी है दुख हरनी। ये मधुसूदन की आरती, जय जय भागवत भगवान की है आरती। ये मधुर बोल जग पंद खोल, सन मार्ग दिखाने वाला, बिगड़ी को बनाने वाला श्री राम यही घनश्याम यही श्री राम यही घनश्याम यही प्रभु की महिमा के आरती पापियों को पाप से है तारती जय जय भागवत है आरती पापियों को पाप से है तारती पापियों को पाप से है तारती बजु मन हरि हर ओम सुमेरु मन नारायणा बजु मन हरि हर ओम सुमेरु मन नारायणा नारायणा हरि नारायणा नारायणा हरि नारायणा बजु मन हरि हर ओम सुमेरु मन नारायणा बजु मन हरि हर ओम सुमेरु मन नारायणा. Together everybody. Dear Lord, by your grace, on this Chaturdasi day, we get to do a wonderful discourse of your holy history. Thank you for allowing my body, my ears, my family, my children to be able to open ourselves to your bright light. Thank you for allowing me to hear this first piece of the Varaha Katha. Dear God, as I am growing in your eyes, in front of you, I am developing as a child, as a devotee, in my bhakti, in my shraddha, in my faith. Parikshit is growing, I am growing too, God. Help me, Prabhu, to achieve my goals, my desires. Bless me to become a blessed, liberated individual. Save me from the damn and the hardships, the damn moments in my life. Dear God, if there is any confusion or any type of predicament, I leave it all in your hands. I leave it all at your feet. And I ask you for your mercy. Together, everybody. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhu cha sakha tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Om Shanti, everybody. Shanti, Shanti. Prem Sablo Mahapati Mahadeva ki jai. Pavana Putra Numana ki. Shri Adi Shakti Mata ki. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Satya Sanatan Dharma ki jai. Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, everybody.